Okay, so we're moving over. This is Baruch here, and what's really happened, I came off the road. I had a 3-day road trip where we were working hard. And I get up and I start learning today, and my brain is not working all that good, but I still need to work on these ideas because I'm working on these prayers. So I'm going to do the best I can. And what's really happening here, especially in this year on Avos here, and also this year the Kriya Shema. I'm teaching myself, and I'm inviting you to come and learn along with me. That's basically all it is. And today may not be the world's greatest day, but let's go over and see where we left off. We had a little bit of water ran under the bridge, and let's see where we're at. We're on page none, a drush base of typical vanos on Avos, which is basically the beginning of the Amida, of course. We're starting right here in number Pei. Now, he says that where it should be is number Ayin Zion. That's what I wrote. Well, we're going to go to Pei anyway. He says, or maybe we could start at Ayin Zion. Aval Shlosha Rishonis the Mochen de Bitzad Ima. We had said, let's see, Ima, V'kol Tesha Mochen de Bitzad Abba, and all the 9 Mochen that come from Abba, Kulam Nish'aron L'mal episode or Makif al Rosho. Let's come over and hear what he's talking about because I'm slow getting into it today, and I'll do the best I can to try to understand it. Maybe you can understand it with me. Maybe you have a comment on it. I don't know. He says, Now, we had been talking about the Nai of Ima enters into Zeranpin, and she has 3 different joints, an upper, a middle, and a lower. So he says, now the upper joints, he says, Asher mehem melovashim shlosh rishonos demochad degad zah. So it goes like this: is that we're talking about the legs of Ima, and also the Yisod of Ima extended to Zer Anpin, and those extensions of the legs have 3 joints, as we say. So he says that, etc. Then, so that each one of the 9, according to this analysis, has mochin that are inside of them that belong to Zer Anpin. So it says again, we'll read it again. Hainu Rapabraka Mel Yonu deny the Ima. Asher behem levashim shlosh rishonos the mochen the godless their armpits, and they had within them. Now we're talking about the creation of godless within your mind. My mind is to bring in these mochen, the mochen the godless, but the gar goes into the top joints, the top section of the legs, etc. of zeranpin, of the nai zeranpin. Shlosh rishonos amochen mitzad Abba. So the first 3 that come from Abba, Abba's inside of Ima. Bashisha Kitzvos the Mochen the Bitzad Abba Hem Tesha, that makes 9. So what am I getting out of this? He says, Call Hamochem the Godless the Bitzad Abba Be'ima Kavar Noldu Al Yudei Zivug Abba Be'ima Bekriya Shema. Let me read it again. He says, all the Mochen the Godless that come either from Abba or Ima, they all were already developed as a result of the fact that Abba Be'ima had a Yichud at Kriya Shema, and they produced all these mochi. So great. But Rak Adayim lo nikdasu bazah. But the point is that that's true, but they haven't reached their way to Zeranpin. Now imagine this is how the Kabbalah works backwards. So when we're saying at the same time that Abba Ve'ima are above Zeranpin, but we're also saying that they're inside of Zeranpin. So above and inside, because we have the word lamala and the word panimi, really are interchangeable because in Kabbalistic space, there's no up and down. There's only reference points. So it depends on where you start. That is for us human beings who can't really imagine what's really this is really talking about. We do the best we can. The Rob is helping us by just looking at ourselves and seeing how Mochen would come into us, that would come into our head. So this is something much greater because it's a lamala, but at the same time, it has to squeeze itself down to get into our heads, or the head of Zeranpin, as in this case. So he says, Lo raka shisha kitzvos demokin de im bilvad. That's the only thing that comes in is the 6 kitzvos of Ima. The rest, Begar the Ima, but the Gimel Rishonos, which is the Kochov or the Kesachach Babina or the Chabad, however we describe it, the Rosh of Ima, Bukol Abba, and the entire sphere, all the spheres of Abba, Nishar Lamalabasod or Makif al Rosh there Anpin. This is a really important idea. So you produce Mochin, the godless of Ima and Abba, and they're all produced as a result of the Kriya Shema. This is something we have to know and to understand that because we're learning Kriya Shema along with this. But they don't all enter into the head of Zeranpin. They don't all squeeze down to get there, or they don't all manifest themselves from the inside out to be there. So let's look at number pay. Here we're going to read the whole pay. So he said, V'hine, ayidei zivav v'abba v'ima, hanirmaz b'shlosha shemus havaya Alokeinu havaya. And this is an important idea here for those of us who look at the Rishash, trying to learn a little bit of Rishash. When you say the word Shema Yisrael, right? So we talked about Yisrael as a big time word. Then it says Hashem, Alokeinu Hashem. He says this represents the mating of Abba v'ima. Targum b'shlosha shemus havaya Alokeinu havaya, but pasuk Shema Yisrael. So this represents the zivug Abba v'ima. Niknas Shisha Kitzvos the Mochin. So when that happens, the 6 Kitzvos, that is the lower 6, that's Chesed Gevurah Tiferes Netzach Yisod, enter into Zeranpin. Va'ata Sarak La'aso Zivug Acher, but now you have to make another yichud, the yichud of Abba Ve'ima, Be'bracha Zu, when you're making this bracha. K'dei lahaknis bo shlosha mochem rishonim b'tzad ima. So you have to make a bracha. We start to make the bracha of birchas ab birchei avos. So when we start to do that, then the idea is a shlosha mochem that we want to bring in the gar of ima. Gar means the gimel rishonis, which is the Mishas called the Chabad of ima. We want to bring that in. Because of the additional amount of radiance that's now coming into Zeranpin. How? Because we had kavanah to make a second yichud, and now you're bringing the mochin in. So he said, Yikansu gam came acher kach, so they come in after this also. Called Hatesha mochin de bitzad abba, all the mochin of Tzad Abba. What's Tesha? What's 9 mean here? 9 means a Chabad Chagat 9. That's what it means. Figure out what Chabad means. Figure out what Chagat means. A big apple 9 means that's the whole goof. That's all 9 spheros. Kesser as a whole is a different story because Kesser really comes from the dimension up above, which is really coming from the lower part of Abba Be'ima. It's a different story. So therefore, that's why it always comes to Chabad Chagat 9. So he says, the Tesha Mochin de B'tzad Abba. By adding on a lot more light, Kamosha is Boyer, Be'ezra Hashem, as it's going to explain with God's help. Now, it's a pretty good sized piece here. Let's get down to number pay and let me see, just read the typical Vanos and see if I could get through without too much delay. So he says that's their yichud. That yichud is important in order to bring the shefa into Zeranpin. We're trying to say that the zivug is not there. But the actual yichud, that's not where the yichud takes place. The yichud took place in the Shema. So he says in the word echad, not in Hashem, Alokeinu Hashem, but actually in the word echad. This is what he wants to say. If the Kriya Shema comes into Zer Anpin, Raka, Shisha, Kitzvos, the Mochin, the godless, the Ima, only the Vok of the godless of Ima. Shehem HaMochin, Lubashim, Bepircha Tachtani, Bepircha Memsaim, denying the Ima. So again, we have to go through all of these different ideas. It's the lower section of Ima, deny, has three different compartments in it. Each one of them hold different aspects of the Mochin. We're only bringing in the lower part, that is the lower 6. Tzarech only of Ima. Tzarech l'ora zivug acher b'abba v'ima. So this is not enough. You haven't gotten all the mochin in yet. So therefore, you have to arouse another yichud. Milvad zivug shechoya be'echad the kriya shema. Besides that one that took place there, because you got to get all the rest of them. So it goes like this: Tevis Alokeinu Alokei Avoteynu. So now we're these words: Alokeinu, Alokei Avoteynu. So he says, Zivug zeh hu rak kadei lahachnis mokum bizarre. Why do we say these phrases? Hashem Elokeinu, Elokeinu, excuse me, Elokeinu ve'Elokei Avoseynu. Is it to bring in new mochim? Shahari Kuvar Noldu Kulam B'Tevis Echad, because they're all already born out, but they're on the top of the head of Zerampin. They're not inside of Zerampin. Echad the Kriyashima. Hainu Chochma bin the Das, that is the Chabad Shal Mochen the Buluvash B'Pirkim Al Yon, denying the Ima, which I have to keep going. You have to work on that phrase. What does that mean? Sheish Mochen Buluvash B'Pirkim Al Yon. So remember, said there's the upper joints is going to be corresponding of the Nai, the Ima is going to be corresponding to where the Chabad and the Mochen is their Anpin are going to be located. So you have to make a new yichud here. So this is where you'll see there's going to be more radiance coming to Zer Anpin, so that the rest can come in. So you need another yichud for more radiance. So he said, so now we mentioned that's another zivuk that will take place. He says in Iskar, Shlosh Rishon is the Ima, the gar of Ima, Yekantu Gam call Hamochen Deser Antin beside Abba. So let me read, I read that wrong. So after they come in, the Shlosh Rishon is the Ima, the gar of Ima. Then comes in Yekantu Gam call Hamochen Deser, all Zaz Mochim that are contained in Abba. They come from Abba. Amaluvasha Betesha Perkim deny the Abba, which are in the 9 different joints, different sections of joints, because he has a netzach, hod, yisod. Each one of them has 3 times 3 is 9. So all of his 9 joints, he's got all these mochim to come, and they're going to come in too. The holy call the mochim to zer anpin in order to bring forth all of the mochim to zer anpin to the mitzad abba be'im. The zivug zes, this zivug, hoil rak lahaknis b'zer anpin. How does it help? Only to bring into Zer Anpin Hamochen the Shisha Kitzvos, the Ima, the 6 Kitzvos of Ima, Gedei Lahaknis Gam Shlosh Rishonos Dim. So it's, in other words, the first zivug that you had that took place in the word Echad, that is only able to bring in the 6 Kitzvos of Ima. For Gedei Lahaknis Gam Shlosh Rishonos Dim, but if you want to bring in more, V'chol Hamochen the Abba V'zah, and bring in the Mochen the Abba V'zah, Tzarat Lacham Sheto Sefes ARI, you got to bring more light in. So how do you do this? You make another zivug, the Abba Ve'ima, you make a second zivug. Hanir Mizbetevis Alokeinu, Alokei Avoteynu, that you see that in these magical words, like Alokeinu, Alokei Avoteynu, Oholon, Babir, Kabonis, Elo, Hatevos, Yizboyer, Seder, Remizosa. What exactly did it refer to? So there's a lot. In other words, we have actions that we can actually do over here. Okay, at any rate, this is Baruch Fleischman. I'm at the Tikkun Elevator Call. I went a little over today. Hope you enjoyed this year. I learned a little bit. I'll try to digest it. All the best.